Hi, good morning. My name is Deb Weaver and I will be your worship partner today, and I want to welcome you to Westminster. Please note that the service is being recorded. In a moment, we will be lighting a chalice together, so I invite you to go get a chalice or a candle if you have one handy. If this is your first or second time with us, please feel free to email our office administrator to get onto our mailing list so you can learn more about us. That email address is being posted in the chat. And if you'd like to see the order of service for today, that link is also being posted in the chat. So as we light our chalice, I'm going to light my chalice first. My own time on earth has led me to believe in two powerful instruments that turn experience into love: holding and listening. For every time I've held or been held, every time I have listened or been listened to, experience burns like wood in that eternal fire, and I find myself in the presence of love. This has always been so.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to see your faces. So glad you could join us. And I just wanted to say an enormous thank you to Deb Weaver for agreeing to be my worship partner, and to Liz for being our tech support person. She's been fabulous. So here are the opening words from one of my favorite people, Desmond Tutu. Indigenous people remind us that the first law of our being is that we are set in a delicate network of interdependence with our fellow human beings and with the rest of creation. In Africa, recognition of our interdependence is called Ubuntu. It is the essence of being human. It speaks of the fact that my humanity is caught up and is inextricably bound up in yours. I am human because I belong to the whole, to the community, to the tribe, to the nation, to the earth. Ubuntu is about wholeness, about compassion for life. Ubuntu has to do with the very essence of what it means to be human, to know that you are bound up with others in the bundle of life. In our fragile and crowded world, we can survive only together. We can be truly free, ultimately, only together. We can be human only together.
Welcome to the circle. How far have you come? Do you need some company? A candle and a song? Are you feeling weary, tired of being strong? Welcome to this circle. It's a place where you belong. Do you have a burden that feels too much to bear? Do you have a bitterness you don't know how to share? Do you get too angry to breathe, to laugh, to pray? Well, there's no one in this circle who has never felt this way. No one in this circle who has never felt this way. Welcome to this circle. Ever brought you here? The valleys and the mountain tops, the muddy and the clear. And though your heart is worthy, and oh, your heart is true, and know that all you give away circling back to you. You gotta know that all you give away will come circling back to you.
Thank you. It was beautiful. And now we're at the part of our service for our unison affirmation. And if I am correct, we'll all be unmuted so that we can join together. That includes you too, Stephen. You're muted. You're our leader. All right. Love
Love
is the spirit of
service,
His
Spirit,
service,
and
and
service.
service, its law.
This is our
Our
great covenant,
to
all
dwell
together
in
in
peace,
to speak
Speak
the truth in love and to help one another.
another.
Thank you. Here in this community, we are here for each other in a whole host of ways. And one of the particular ways we can support each other is by being present to each other in what is good and what is hard in our lives. I invite any who would like to take a moment, if you would like, to share something on your heart this morning in the chat. With much gratitude to Nonetta for the beautiful music.
I'd like to lead you in a guided meditation and start off with a poem. But before I do that, I wanted to acknowledge a piece of music that I'm going to share with you during the guided meditation that was composed and performed by my son Jamil for a man named Charles Eisenstein, an American public speaker and writer. It's a thank you gift for the work of a man that has had a profound influence on both of us, with his written work, online offerings, and numerous conversations with many people who have the curiosity and courage to look at the world in a way that is outside the box, yet at the same time honors our ancestors going back countless generations to a time before we had invented the written word. Here are a couple of very short samples of his work. We have to create conditions where people feel safe to feel and to care. That goes against a lot of our programming about how to make something change in the world. Sometimes you can pressure people into changing. You can force them, but the powers that be have more force than we do. I don't think we're going to win in a contest of force. I think that we need to induce a change of heart. The narrative of us versus them is ultimately part of the problem. Traditional activism, which is about overcoming the latest bad guy, isn't deep enough. It just brings us another version of the same. Love is the felt experience of connection to another being. An economist says, more for us is less for me. But the lover knows that more of you is more for me too. If you love somebody, their happiness is your happiness. Their pain is your pain. Your sense of self expands to include other beings. This shift of consciousness is universal in everybody, the 99% and the 1%. Enjoy the music. This is a poem called The Second Music by Annie Lightheart. Now I understand that there are two melodies playing, one below the other, one easier to hear, the other lower, steady, perhaps more faithful for being less heard, yet always present. When all other things seem lively and real, this one fades. Yet the notes of it touch as gently as fingertips, as the sound of the names laid over each child at birth. I want to stay in that music without striving or cover. If the truth of our lives is what is playing, the telling is so soft that this mortal time, this irrevocable change, becomes beautiful. I stop and stop again to hear the second music. I hear the children in the yard, a train, then birds. All this is in it and will be gone. I set my ear to it as I would to my heart. Now I want to move us away from our thinking minds and shift the focus to our bodies. Please make yourself as comfortable as possible so you're able to relax your body and mind together. There is no need to try to stop all the thinking that passes through our minds, as if we were salmon trying to swim upstream. They have no choice but to do what nature calls them to do. But we, although our minds are busy by nature, have been given a great gift, the capacity to calm the body and the mind together through conscious attention, deepening our awareness of each precious moment. You can close your eyes if you want to, but that is not necessary. All we ask of you is to pay attention to your mind as you might watch one or more kayaks coming down the river from the water's edge. Some of those kayaks will move slowly, some of them more quickly, and some may move as if propelled by swift whitewater currents. It is all okay, and we do not need to fight it. I'm going to share a guided practice called kindness meditation by a woman named Kara Jewel Lingo. We all have the capacity to be kind, and we can grow this capacity in our daily lives. This guided practice will help us to nurture greater kindness by reflecting on the power of kindness in our lives. So please find a comfortable position where you can be engaged, present, and also relaxed. Let's begin. Feeling the body, noticing the space around you, allowing your body and mind to settle right where you are. Noticing if there is anything in your immediate environment, either inside you or around you, that is enjoyable, that is nurturing in some way. It could be the simple presence of your breath, your heart that is still beating, that has been beating without rest for many years, keeping you alive, nourishing your well-being. Or something in the space around you, allowing yourself to take that in. Now bring your attention to a time when others were kind to you. It could be a time when you were younger in age, or it could have happened more recently. Remembering this occasion of kindness and bringing it to mind as fully as you can, what the kind act created for you. So, letting yourself remember the situation, really going back to live that experience again of receiving kindness. When someone said something kind to you or did something generous or kind to you, for you. It could be as simple as a stranger smiling to you on the street or someone who held the door for you. Or perhaps it was something that had more of an impact. Allowing the memory to come to mind. And now, bringing awareness to how this experience made you feel. Checking in to see if you can sense your body and how your body received this experience of kindness. Really let it soak in. Let it fill you. Let it grow bigger. This experience of receiving others' kindness. And now bring to mind a time when you were kind to someone else, remembering a time when you did or said or even thought something kind. Bring this moment to mind and remembering what it felt like, physically, emotionally, to extend yourself in some way, to care for someone else. A very simple act you may have done, or perhaps something more impactful. A time when you showed your care, your friendliness, your generosity to someone else. As you remember that time, remember the sense of well-being you felt back then, and at many other moments when you offered kindness to someone else. I'd like to introduce you to one of my favorite filmmakers. His name is Louis Schwartzberg, and many years ago in the 70s, he started doing time-lapse photography. And that's pretty much all he's done for the last 50 years. And he created this wonderful documentary called Fantastic Fungi using time-lapse photography. And I wanted to share it with you because I really believe that the way to heal our country and our world must come through our love of nature. That if we open our hearts to this incredible planet, then we will see each other more clearly. We'll be able to love each other more clearly. So anyway, this is a trailer to the film. Please enjoy. And now I'd like to share with you a song that was made as a part of the soundtrack to this film by a group called Beautiful Chorus. They wrote the words, and what you're going to see on the screen is a time-lapse photography, some of it extremely magnified from microorganisms. Enjoy. So I wanted to introduce you to one of my favorite writers. Her name is Cy Montgomery, and she's written a bunch of books. She basically goes out there all over the world and makes friends with all kinds of animals, tarantulas, octopus, any kind of creature. And anyway, she came to me in my job. My job is a very lucky job at the library at Brown University, where I get treasures come to my department, literally come through my hands on a regular basis. And I saw a book called How to Be a Better Creature, and it completely captivated me. I gave a copy of the book to my wife, Terry, for Christmas, actually. And anyway, here's an introduction to this extraordinary person, a little author video. Thank you. Enjoy.
Here at Westminster, we share our offering every month with a different organization that shares our values and our mission. Our January Share the Plate is the Providence Rescue Mission. The Providence Rescue Mission provides a safe place to spend the night. It is open all year to provide emergency overnight accommodations for an average of 70 homeless men and 30 homeless women. Guests have the ability to take a hot shower, access toiletries and hygiene products, and sleep in a clean bed. And they have breakfast in the morning. Approximately 38,325 individuals receive access to safe shelter annually at the Providence Rescue Mission. The other half of the offering goes to support the good work of the whole of this community. You can donate using the link that is now being put in the chat. The offering will now be given and received with gratitude.
So in a year with more bad news than any other time in my lifetime, I thought it would be a good idea to share with you some news that we don't hear enough of, stories about our infinite capacity for generosity, kindness, and compassion. These are just a tiny sample of the kinds of things I am sure have happened all over the world. And it is these kinds of events that we should look to remind us of our ability to manifest goodness. It is far greater than our ability to do harm. The famous words, "the squeaky wheel gets the grease," have a deep teaching for people over the world, since the vast majority of us pay far too much attention to the bad than to the good. So here are a few samples of the kind of news I like to hear, the kind that remind me of our true nature, of how we are meant to live in this world. There was a woman named Taylor Pinkerine, I'm sorry if I messed up her name, a nurse from Minnesota, already working at the front lines to treat COVID-19 patients, saw a plea from a family. Their small son, Bodie Hall, was born with a rare kidney disorder and was in desperate need of a kidney transplant. His father was not a match. His mother had already donated her kidney to Bodie's older sister, who had the same condition. Upon seeing the notice, Taylor didn't think twice about it and immediately filled out the paperwork to donate her kidney. She turned out to be a perfect match and donated her kidney to Bodie on her birthday. Her selfless act saved the little boy's life. I love this story, not just because of the generosity, compassion she showed, but it reminded me of that there are thousands and thousands of people, nurses, doctors, all kinds of people all over the world right now and for a very long time during the pandemic who are just giving so unselfishly of themselves, their time, their energy to get us through this difficult time. So a deep gratitude to all those people. The second story, high school robotics team steps up during uncertain times. Half a dozen 8th and 9th graders on a robotics team in Silicon Valley learned about COVID-19 spreading fast across Navajo Nation back in April. They heard about a group of healthcare workers who were flying out to provide support. All of them quickly came together to help the community however they could. The team of 13 and 14-year-olds stayed up all night to create 3D printed face shields for the healthcare workers leaving the next day. They donated 100 face shields and continued to produce 1,500 face shields total, along with donating other supplies to various groups across the country. I found this wonderful reminder how much we depend upon the younger people, the younger people who, of course, are our future. And I've been so inspired, so many times. People like Greta Thunberg who remind us of what a lot of us grown-ups have forgotten. The next story is, the title is How an Appliance Technician's Conversation About Race Resonated Around the World. Ernest Skelton, an appliance technician, arrived at Caroline Brock's home for a routine service call in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, expecting to do his job and leave. However, when Brock, a white woman, asked Skelton what his experience was as a Black man living in the USA, the encounter was anything but routine. Brock learned about the heavy weight of racism that Black people, especially Black men like Skelton, carry every day. These experiences were a revelation to Brock, and she posted their conversation on Facebook, which has since gone viral. I love this because it speaks to me in my life. I made a friendship with a man of color down the street, and we started going into some difficult territory. It wasn't difficult for us, but a territory about racism, and it was very gratifying that we could reach out to each other. And I really appreciate her courage to ask about his experience. So necessary for us to do that, reach out to each other. The next story title is Police Officer Receives a Life-Saving Transplant from the Woman He Put in Jail 8 years ago. Jocelyn James, a recovered drug addict and former member of Franklin's Most Wanted, donated one of her kidneys to save the life of Officer Terrell Potter, who had arrested her nearly a decade before. After 16 arrests, Jocelyn turned her life around and now runs a nonprofit called The Place of Grace, which helps women get treatment. When Officer Potter found out that his kidney was failing, he also learned that he would have to face a 7 to 8 year waiting period for a kidney. Jocelyn learned about Potter's kidney as she was scrolling through Facebook. She knew right away that she was meant to give him her own. Jocelyn's kidney turned out to be a perfect match. This is an incredible story. I mean, the kind of forgiveness that she showed, most people, I think, in her situation would not have even been able to think of that. It also reminded me of how much is lost and how much is wasted with all the people that get put in prison, getting no help at all, and how much great potential all of them have if they're given a chance. The next story the title is, They Served More Than 145,000 Free Meals in 2 months as part of their faith tradition of feeding anyone in need. This year brought unprecedented challenges, and one of them was food shortages. The Sikh Center of New York and Queens Village practiced their centuries-old faith tradition of nourishing anyone in need. The centers mobilized their large-scale cooking resources to meet the demand for food aid for people from all walks of life. Other centers all across America had a similar response. Volunteers throughout different cities came together to make meals for healthcare workers, peaceful protesters, and kids affected by closed schools. I love this story too because it reminds me of a conviction I've had for many, many years, that faith communities have to be at the very center of all the positive changes that we are going to make in our world. They certainly stepped up here. The last story from South Africa, the title is Literally a Miracle. Rival gangs in South Africa call a truce to help people during pandemic. In an unprecedented truce, rival gangs in South Africa came together to deliver food under lockdown to people in desperate need. What we're seeing here is literally a miracle, said Pastor Andy Steele Smith, who works with the gang members, many of whom are convicted killers. They're the best distributors in the country. they're used to distributing other things. Pastor Steele Smith points out, they know everybody. Normally dangerous streets in Cape Town saw sworn enemies meeting up to collect essential goods to distribute throughout hungry communities. It sounds like a story that somebody made up, but I wasn't shocked. Years ago, I had heard this wonderful story of a gang leader in New York City. I can't remember if it was the Crips or the Bloods. And he just one day woke up and saw the craziness that was their lives, the violence of their lives, the hatred between the two gangs. And since that time, which I think is about 20 or so years, he has been an international leader and speaker to create peace, to teach nonviolence to gang members and to people all around the world. So unfortunately in our movies, people in gangs are portrayed as, cartoon bad guys, but obviously there's much greater depth there, and that this story supports that. And I'd like to close our closing hymn is a song by a man named Joshua Hyslop, a song called Leavings, and the lyrics are available in the chat box.
Pull this little thread and watch it grow and watch it spread. Wider than dawn, further in and farther on. Who could comprehend the path it takes or know its plan? Oh, the mystery of what may come and what shall be. Oh. Hear the waves crash down as they shape the shore, and in their sound each one lives its life in its own way, in its own time. And would you say to them, hold your tongues, or come not hands, to live a life that's free is to sing and dance in the melody. Ooh. I understand that there are dreams and there are plans, and some shall see the light. But there are those that will pass by. So I've come to hope, though I can't say, and I can't know, that in the end I'll be with the friends I know and who know me. Ooh.
Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Stephen. It was a wonderful service. I'd like to invite folks to coffee hour after the service. We'll have breakout rooms. And thank you again, and we hope to see you again next week.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
I'm trying to navigate the two screens. So I have made a mistake. I have forgotten to say that their service is dedicated to all folks who have lost somebody dear to them, and those who have been struggling and who are healing, and also also dedicated to Joanne Friday, my teacher, and who has just given her life so selflessly and so generously. My life wouldn't be the same without it. And I actually have some words from her teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, by way of a poem that I wish to share with you. They don't publish the good news. The good news is published by us. We have a special edition every moment, and we need you to read it. The good news is that you are alive, and the linden tree is still there, standing firm in the harsh winter. The good news is that you have wonderful eyes to touch the blue sky. The good news is that your child is there before you, and your arms are available. Hugging is possible. They only print what is wrong. Look at each of our special editions. We always offer the things that are not wrong. We want you to benefit from them and help protect them. The dandelion is there on the sidewalk, smiling its wondrous smile, singing the song of eternity. Listen, you have ears that can hear it. Bow your head, listen to it. Leave behind the world of sorrow and preoccupation and get free. The latest good news is that you can do it. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you can join us for coffee hour. Take care, folks, all those who have to leave.
How about Carrie Lame?
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh my. If there was not a mistake and I was leading the service, you would know that it was an imposter.